Som, teste. Testando. Testando. Um, dois, três.
Gente, boa noite. A gente vai começar daqui 2 minutinhos. Queria dizer que a gente vai ter falas em inglês e português. Então, para todos que precisarem pegarem os fones de ouvido. Welcome. We will start in 2 to 3 minutes. Just to let you know that we'll have speakers talking in English and Portuguese. So if you need your headphones, please take one outside. Okay? Obrigada. Good evening. We'll start this session. Just letting you know that we'll have people speaking in Portuguese, Spanish, and English. So if you need translators, please get a headphone, take a headphone outside. Boa noite a todos. Antes da gente começar um aviso, a gente vai ter falas em português, inglês e espanhol. Então, se vocês precisarem de tradução, por favor, peguem um fone de ouvido. A gente ainda está aguardando um ônibus chegar, mas por conta do horário a gente vai começando. Good evening and welcome to our exciting event tonight. We are here to celebrate and highlight the importance of migratory freshwater species and the need for their continued and expanded protection and management. My name is Mariana Napolitano. I work for WWF Brazil, and I would like again to thank you all for joining us tonight in this beautiful auditorium at the Biopark Aquarium. Tonight, we are going to learn more about this new global assessment on migratory freshwater fish species, and also how those species help maintain river health, and how they underpin some of the world's largest inland fisheries, and also how they sustain livelihoods of hundreds of millions of people. Yet, those species are among the most vulnerable and threatened wildlife on the planet. We will learn about the report later today, but before we start, it is my honor to invite here for an official welcome Ms. Maria Fernanda Balestieri. She is the Director General of Bioparque Pantanal, and she will she'll share with you some words welcoming you to this aquarium. Maria Fernanda, thank you for hosting us, and the floor is yours.
Senhoras e senhores, autoridades, representantes do meio ambiente e mudança de clima, da Convenção das Espécies Migratórias, do WWF,
WWF and institutional partners and researchers. Today, it's not only a celebration. Today is a meeting for purpose. We are together here for something that is bigger than just a bigger freshwater. It's about history, resistance, and cycles that repeat years and years. It's about history life, cycles, and now depends more than ever in us. The migratory fish, they are needing our attention because they are connecting rivers and ecosystems too. They don't know frontiers, but they feel deeply the impacts of the decisions that were made by the humans. Every barricade, every action or omission, it makes effect in this flux of life. And on this way, they continues, persistent, and they swim over the river. That's why they resist us a lot. It's about resilience, about strength, and about truth. Continues even when we are weak. Today we celebrate the scientific advances and action plans, but over everything, we are celebrating the action of getting together about what is more important about them. We are celebrating about the science, about the cooperation that goes among the frontiers, and we want to help everyone. The Pantanal Aquarium has this purpose. And here we have the space that the nature and science goes together, and we have the main purpose of conscientization and keep alive the fishes that we have in our rivers. Here, each participant is going to understand what is the main purpose of the fishes, what are their obligations, and what they are going to do in the environment.
que nessa noite não
So
seja apenas
our
uma
main intention
celebração do
here
que
is
já
to protect
conquistamos,
their
mas
lives.
lembrete poderoso do quanto ainda podemos fazer
And
juntos.
its intention
Podemos
here
seguir
is
como
to
esses
show you
peixes,
how
conectando caminhos,
important they are for the
superando
environment,
barreiras e
and we want
avançando
to
com
show you that
coragem
we
em
want to
direção a um
overcome
futuro mais
barriers
sustentável.
and
Sejam
how
muito
to develop
bem-vindos
a
ao
sustainable
maior aquário
world.
de água doce do mundo.
Welcome to the biggest freshwater in the world. Welcome to Aquarium Pantanal.
Thank you, Maria Fernanda. I had the privilege to have a guided visit to the aquarium this afternoon, and I strongly suggest you do the same. You'll be amazed. Now, it's my privilege to invite and to talk with us and share some opening remarks for our event, Dr. Rita Mesquita. Rita is the Secretary of Biodiversity, Forests, and Animal Rights in the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change of Brazil. Rita, please.
Boa noite a todos e a todas.
Good night for everyone.
Então aqui precisa ajustar. Senão eu vou ficar na
Good evening for everyone.
Eu já fiz uma visita
I have already done a
visita
visit
anterior.
here in this
Eu
aquarium,
compreendo a emoção.
and I
sua
always
emoção
feel so excited when I'm
ao
here,
fazer a nossa abertura
when
aqui.
I'm doing this opening
Esse
here.
lugar é
This
maravilhoso.
place is wonderful,
E não é só isso.
and it's only this one.
Aqui vocês estão dando
Here,
uma contribuição
You are
real
having a
à
contribution, a
conservação
real
das
contribution
espécies.
for the preservation of the
Poucos
species,
lugares têm
because
tido
other
sucesso
places they
que
have
vocês têm
success.
tido.
Doesn't have the same
Avançar
success that we have
com a
here.
reprodução de
We are
espécies
going to
altamente
release a reproduction
ameaçadas
of species
de todos os biomas
that is
brasileiros.
going to be the biggest
Então, eu
among all the
fortemente
companies too.
recomendo que vocês
I strongly recommend
tirem
to you
tempinho
that you take a
para
short
visitar e
time
conhecer
to
esse
visit
espaço
and
que é,
meet
de
this
fato,
wonderful
emocionante.
place.
Global Assessment.
It's the global assessment for
Eu
you.
espero que todos
I
tenham
hope that everyone
recebido.
here have received yours.
Se vocês quiserem ter uma
And
noite
if you want to
tranquila
take a
de
look
sono,
and you have
não
a good
abram a sua página 3.
night today,
Porque
don't
é
open the page 3
praticamente
because
impossível
it's
e dormir
practically
tranquilo
impossible to
depois de olhar
sleep,
os
to have a
números
good sleep if you
na
read the
página
page
3.
3.
Nós temos todas as razões do mundo
We have all the
para
reasons in the
estarmos
world
muito,
to
mas
be
muito
very,
preocupados.
very worried.
Nossas espécies
Our
de peixes
species,
são
our
base
fish species are
para
basis for
tantas
many and
comunidades,
many
para a segurança
communities
alimentar
to
de
keep
tantos,
safe many
para
people,
o funcionamento dos
to
nossos
work the
sistemas
function of our
ecológicos.
system,
Espécies
species
que
that
desenvolvem características
develop
únicas,
unique
estão
characteristics.
mais do que nunca
They are
nos
more
dando
than ever
os sinais
giving
da
us the
sua-
signals
do seu nível
of
de
your level
ameaça,
of
vulnerabilidade
harming
e da
and
necessidade
vulnerability
da nossa
and the
atenção com
necessity of
relação
our
a
attention
elas.
in our works.
Eu queria dizer
I would
que,
like
vendo
to
os
say
números,
that
até me dá um frio na
I
barriga.
feel
Eu sou uma
butterflies
ecóloga
in
de
the stomach.
plantas. Trabalho com ecologia vegetal.
I work
minha
with
vida inteira.
digital ecology
Mas tenho
all my life,
enfrentado,
but I
e
have
desde meu
faced
colega aqui do Ministério da Pesca e Aquicultura,
many
nós
problems,
temos
and I have
enfrentado
my
juntos
partner
na
here from the
Venezuela,
Ministry of Fish
desafios
Fishing.
enormes
We have faced
para
big
levar
challenges
para a sociedade
to
a
take to the
compreensão
society the
da
comprehension
necessidade
about
de
the
trabalharmos
need
juntos,
to work together.
políticas públicas
Public
que, de fato,
politics
assegurem
to
que nós
keep
podemos
alive
fazer
that we
a
should make
extração,
the
o
extraction,
uso,
the use,
o manejo
the
das
maneres
espécies que
of
temos.
the
O
species
Brasil
that we
é
have in
como
Brazil,
tudo no Brasil é meio campeão na
in
diversidade
the
de
biome
espécies
of
de
our
peixes que
diversity of
temos,
species of fish
mas
that
que
we
nós
have,
temos todas
but
as razões do mundo
that
para
we have
estarmos
all the
muito
reasons to
preocupados
feel
com o
worried
status de
about
conservação e a
the data
vulnerabilidade
and
desses
statistics that we are facing
Brasil
and
tem
seeing
feito
recently.
esforços
Brazil has
enormes
done enormous
sentido de
effort
ampliar
in
e
the sense of
assegurar
getting
uma
bigger
base de
the
proteção
basis
dos
of
recursos,
protection
aquáticos.
aquatic
Isso envolve
animals.
as bacias,
And it's
as nossas
about
grandes
the
bacias
big
e a
rivers
nossa
that we
costa.
have in our
Temos buscado
country,
ampliar
and we have
a quantidade de áreas
looked forward
protegidas com
to amplify
especial ênfase
the amount
aos
of
berçários das espécies
baby-born
que
fish
mais são utilizadas
that are most
como recurso
used
econômico no nosso país e em outros países.
in
Porque
other countries too.
uma das temáticas dessa
One of the
convenção
main themes of
é a
this
gente
convention
compreender
is about
que estamos
comprehend
todos interligados.
that we are
O
all
mar
connected.
nos liga,
The rivers connected us, the seas connected us, and we must work together to get our objective, to get our goals. But everything that I'm saying, we are not doing. We're not having the success that we decided, that we want. So we can't recline the chairs in a soft way. We must continue going on, working hard, and looking for a better decision to preserve and keep them alive with more effectively and increase and getting better our results. Brazil has done efforts about establishing action plans about these species that are endangered in the ambit of this convention. And we have to work in the review and helping endangered species, our exotic species too. And we have showed to everyone our worries about these fishes that are facing this kind of problems. I have talking about construction, about the parameters of convivence. So we need to continue emphasizing on these conventions, why we must continue going on and working hard so as we can get more space and get more people to help us too. I would like to say about Marcos Dias, there is a reference in Brazil about preservation and a person that has a great identity on this work. And he has led some great actions and great events in Brazil. And we are sure that he is so important for our goal. So we have comprehension about our work, our function, and our role as responsible to assure the resistance and the life of the so many species and species. That's why I want to say that I hope that this night we know that I want to solve this problem of stomachs, butterflies in stomach, because I want to show you the results that we have in the statistics. They are not to feel happy, but they are results from an effort that we have done to have the best statistics in the science, to get the best results. All of us that are here now, we are going to get better informed, and I want to congratulate about the initiative. And initiatives like this, we must have for all the places that we have in the world, and for the science, and I hope that we can bring even more and more accessment like this for many places like that, like we have here. So I hope that tonight you could have a reflection about learnership and learning the things that we are going to see. Good evening.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you for bringing us the urgency of this discussion, of this data, of the reflections and next steps that we are going to discuss this today. We would also like to thank the leadership of the Brazilian government for all the efforts and for elevating the importance of freshwater species in many of the agendas and conventions that we are participating. I now have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Amy Frankel, who is the Executive Secretary of CMS. And Amy will share with us some remarks on the plight of migratory freshwater fish and the role of CMS in avoiding and mitigating the worst threats for these species.
Thank you so much. On behalf of CMS, the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals, I'm very pleased to welcome you to this very special event, the launch of the Global Assessment of Migratory Freshwater Fishes. I could not think of a better place to launch this important report than at this magnificent freshwater fish aquarium, the largest of its kind in the world. And I had the pleasure of visiting here when we were first in Campo Grande, and we met Ms. Director, and it's lovely to be back. And I can't wait to come back when I'm not speaking. And I've seen, by the way, some of these fish because I went to Bonito before I came here. So I had the pleasure of seeing them up close and personal. Now, CMS is an international agreement that is strongly based on science, bringing cutting-edge scientific information to the forefront to inform decision makers on the status of migratory species, key threats, and on the actions needed to address such threats. Migratory species of animals are found on land, in the skies, in our oceans, and in rivers, and in other freshwater environments. Some of the longest, most spectacular migrations of species on Earth are happening beneath the surface of the world's rivers. But CMS has not yet addressed the conservation of such species in a manner that rises to the challenges facing such species, as so clearly showcased by this new report. The Global Assessment of Migratory Freshwater Fishes provides the most comprehensive global overview on these species to date, and it finds that hundreds of migratory freshwater fishes around the world are facing dramatic declines, with some on the brink of extinction. Fragmented rivers, pollution, overexploitation, and habitat loss are the greatest threats. Now, among these extraordinary travelers are the remarkable Dorado catfish, and I did see some of those. They're beautiful. Renowned for undertaking the longest freshwater migration in its life cycle, a migration of over 11,000 kilometers, 11,000 kilometers between Andean headwaters and estuaries where they have nurseries crossing multiple borders. Migratory freshwater fishes are not only ecological marvels, but are vital to food security, local economies, and the cultural heritage of many across the globe. Thus, addressing their conservation is critically important. CMS is the only global treaty in the world that brings countries together to agree on conservation measures for migratory species whose range spans one or more international borders. The assessment identifies 325 migratory freshwater fish species as candidates for potential listing under CMS, beyond the 24 species that are already under CMS. The report also points to the river basins where cooperation can make the greatest difference, including the Amazon, La Plata, Paraná, Paraguay, the Danube, Mekong, Nile, and Ganges, Brahmaputra, Meghna, and sets forth some of the key threats that need to be addressed. I would like to recognize and thank, with my sincerest thanks, the lead author of this report, Dr. Zeb Hogan, who is a CMS COP-appointed counselor for fish. And he led this assessment with contributions from a number of other experts, along with guidance from the CMS Secretariat and the CMS Scientific Council. I also want to sincerely thank WWF, WCS, TNC, and others who helped to organize this event, and of course the aquarium itself, for the remarkable work that you do, not only to show the exhibition, but I've seen the science work you have, and it's extraordinary, because I know that you're even discovering new species here in Campo Grande. So thank you to Brazil, finally, Rita Mesquita, my dear friend, and cohort, and Braulio Diaz, who I worked with at CBD, and who helped us to decide to bring COP15 here to Campo Grande. Thank you so much for the work you've done to make this a reality, and also the action plan that will be discussed at the COP, which is very important for the Amazonian catfish. By working together, governments and stakeholders can secure the future of these extraordinary species and ensure that migratory freshwater fishes like the Dorado continue to thrive in our rivers all around the world for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary Franco, for those inspiring remarks and for your support for stronger action to support and protect this species. I would like to highlight your remarks regarding the linkage of protecting this species with cultural, social aspects involved. For us in WWF, this is the exact type of action that we are working alongside local and traditional communities to support and restore the most vulnerable ecosystems here in Brazil, like the Amazon, Pantanal, the Cerrado where we are, and the Atlantic forest. And we are now going to shift this conversation to a panel with several experts. We can help to better articulate the situation facing our global waterways, as well as those closer to us here in Brazil. So I would like to welcome to this stage Mr. Zeb Hogan, CMS COP appointed counselor for fish and research professor at the University of Nevada, who was one of the lead authors of this report. Please, Ms. Zeb, join us in this table. Thank you. I would also welcome Michelle Thiem, Deputy Lead for Freshwater at the World Wildlife Fund. Eu gostaria de convidar o senhor Nilson Monteiro do Nascimento, do Conselho Nacional de Populações Extrativistas e morador da Reserva Extrativista Mãe Grande do Curaçá, no Salgado Paraense. I would also like to welcome Mr. Paul Van Dam, a river dolphin and fish biologist and chief of projects with the Bolivian nonprofit Faunagua. Now Mariana Varese, Director of Amazon Landscapes at WCS and leader of the Secretary of the Amazon Waters Alliance, a network with over 30 partners from 7 countries working on freshwater conservation in the Amazon basin. Thank you, Mariana, for joining us. Ms. Silvia Benitez, Latin America Freshwater Director for the Nature Conservancy. And finally, Mr. Paul Alestia, biologist for the Ecuadorian Ministry of Energy and Environment and the national focal point for the CITES and CMS Convention. Thank you all for joining us today, and we are really excited to hear more from you. And I'll have a question for each of you, and we expect 3 to 4 minutes of your answer so we can be really precise on the time. And to start with Zeb, and you've traveled all over the world studying the state of freshwater fish and identifying threats that they are increasingly under. What does this new global report do to compile the perspectives you've seen into a roadmap for action?
Thank you very much for the question. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm very excited to celebrate not only the official launch of the global assessment of migratory freshwater fish, but also several other efforts underway under CMS, including an action plan for migratory Amazon catfish, a Brazilian case study of migratory fish that was compiled by Michelle and a group of Brazilian and Amazon scientists, so thank you very much for that, and also celebrate the listing proposal that we're going to be considering this week for the Surubim catfish. So this is a night where we're not only going to launch officially the global assessment that we've been working on for quite a while, but also all of these other efforts. So I would like to thank you all for your contributions to this work. I also would just like to take a special quick thank you to the aquarium. I know normally the aquarium's not open at night. They were kind enough to allow us to be here. A special thank you to WWF Brazil, who's done a lot of the heavy lifting to get us all together, so thank you very much. And a thank you to the Brazilian government for your leadership related to freshwater fish. CMS, as Amy Frankel noted, typically not a lot of focus on freshwater fish, and I think having the COP15 here in Brazil is such a great place for us to discuss freshwater fish and for Brazil to take the lead. To talk a little bit about the assessment and migratory fish around the world. So with the assessment, we looked at over 15,000 species of freshwater fish all over the world. We looked at fish that were in decline, that needed help, and fish that cross international borders. And the results of this assessment were 325 species that potentially meet the criteria for listing on CMS. And so if you take that now, we have purely freshwater fish listed on CMS, only 3 species. So now there are an additional 325 species that potentially could qualify for listing. And these are species that occur all over the world and species that need our help. I would say, just to quickly note a few big patterns from the assessment. The region that stands out for immediate action, able to take immediate action and able to take immediate leadership, which we're already seeing here at this COP, is South America. So South America, we see, has dozens of species of migratory fish, very important commercially, that are in need of international cooperation for their management. So there's real opportunity for the countries of South America to take the lead for additional listings of freshwater fish. We also see a lot of potential in Europe, for example, in the Danube River, and then some gaps. More information that is needed about migratory fish of Africa, and more parties to be part of CMS from Asia. So about 200 of these species occur in Asia, many of them in the Mekong River, and the Mekong countries are not yet parties to CMS. So we're really hoping that this global assessment can motivate some of the countries in Southeast Asia with a lot of these migratory fish to be part of what we're trying to do here today. So I would just like to thank you all again for being here. I'm very excited to celebrate all of this great effort related to freshwater and CMS. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot. Michelle, WWF has a long history of major efforts, initiatives, and support to large area-based conservation efforts, as we've been collaborating and working together in areas, especially in Brazil too. How do the swimways these fish reside in fit into those protection opportunities that we are discussing here at the CMS COP?
Thank you very much, Mariana, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you and wonderful to be in this beautiful space. Again, thank you for opening it special for us tonight. So I think one thing that is really important to remember about freshwater species that are obligate to freshwaters is, unlike terrestrial and marine animals that have many different options about how they move across the landscape, freshwater species that are migratory really have only one option, and that is through the river network. And so when you block that network or you fragment it, you block their ability to reach their spawning and migration grounds. So keeping these rivers and floodplains connected is critical if we want to see a future where these species are able to survive. And there are examples around the world of protections of swimways or migratory routes for freshwater fish. We have in the US the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act that offers some level of protection for free-flowing rivers. In Argentina and Ecuador, there are fluvial reserves. In Mexico, there are water reserves. The details of these different types of protections for freshwater systems are unique in each case, but they do exist and they have been leveraged to keep important swimways free-flowing. Beyond these swimway-specific protections, I think there's a really big opportunity here with the Global Biodiversity Framework and the Convention on Migratory Species commitments around ecological connectivity, and to highlight and elevate the importance of rivers in maintaining and creating connectivity between protected areas or with new existing protections. And so if we're thinking about connecting one protected area to another, the very first option that anyone should think about is the riverine corridors, because with that, you really get a 2-for-1, because you get not only the ability of the terrestrial species to move along those corridors, but also for the fish and other obligate freshwater species that use that corridor for their own movements. I will say a final key message about infrastructure and how infrastructure is a major threat to freshwater species, in particular to freshwater fish. And we've seen real examples of population declines of particular freshwater fish due to infrastructure in the rivers that block their ability to migrate to their spawning and breeding grounds or back to the ocean. And so there's a need for very early intervention and planning with infrastructure projects. Once you get to the point of environmental impact assessments, it's often too late to influence the process. The key for freshwater, at least, is thinking at the river basin and system scale. And location, location, location is so critical. Avoidance is really the most important thing about where you place that infrastructure in terms of the level of impact that it will have on the system as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I will now switch to Portuguese. Vou falar em português agora. Nilson, obrigada.
Thanks for being here with us today. I would like to know I would like to ask you, and it's about fishermen generations, many years working daily about in these coastal regions. What are the main changes that you notice about the dynamics and the populations in the main fish species that you see? And what are the needs and priorities that you see to preserve these species and the means of life in the coastal life?
Bem, boa noite, gente.
Good evening, everyone.
Agradecer a Deus pelo
I thank
momento,
God for this moment,
Aliança, pelo espaço que está
for
me
the
dando
space that
também.
He's giving to me too.
E assim, gente, a gente acompanha muito esse ciclo
We always follow
da
the cycle
mudança,
of changes
da questão dos
about the
cardumes,
questions of
o quanto isso vem
fishes and
diminuindo,
how it is decreasing
no nosso litoral,
in our
nós que
litoral,
fazemos parte
we that are part of
de uma parte, ou seja, do berçário,
part of the
e vem uma
baby
grande preocupação.
fishes,
Por quê?
and it's a big
Porque a
worry
gente só tem a
because
visita da
we
piramutaba
just
e da
have the
dourada
visit of
só
Piramutaba
de
and
ano a
Dourada
ano,
year,
e no período de
one
12
time a year,
meses só.
in a period of
Mas só
12
que
months.
os
But
pescadores,
the
tanto de
fishers,
indústria quanto
many-
artesanal,
the industry and
e os
the
curralistas também,
the
porque a nossa
companies and the
região se
fishermen,
trabalha muito com o ramo de curral,
and the
eles
coralists,
se preparam
they are
anual
prepared yearly
para fazer aquela captura
make
dessa
that
espécie.
hunt of this
Então, para a
species.
gente se
So
tornou
for us, it
um
became
motivo de
a reason
preocupação,
of worry,
de preocupação muito grande,
big
porque
worry.
a gente não
Why?
tem um controle
Because we
de
don't have a
quantas
control
toneladas de
about how many tons
piramutaba e
of
de dourada
piramutaba and
saem
dourado
do estado do
they
Pará
take from
todos
Paraná,
os anos.
from Pará every
Então,
year.
Eu, pelo menos
we,
como pescador, há 41 anos, eu vi muita
I, as
fartura
a
dessas
fisherman for
espécies
40 years,
no
I
nosso
have already
litoral.
seen
Hoje,
lots of
o
fishes of
pescador
this
ele
in our
costuma
litoral.
dizer que ele está se
Nowadays, the fisherman,
reinventando
he is used
para
to say that he's
adquirir
reinventing
o
to
sustento
acquire
de suas
the
famílias.
sustain
Então,
for their lives.
fica aqui um alerta,
So it's
gente,
here
para que a gente possa
warning,
tomar
so
iniciativa
as we
de
can take the
cuidar,
initiative to take care
principalmente
mainly
da área de
of the area
berçários,
of baby
da área
fishers
estuarina,
and
porque
the
é ali
place where
que
the
esse peixe
fishes
faz a
they are born,
migração,
because there is
ele
the place where the
desova e
fish
ele
makes
volta para se
the
alimentar.
migration and it's
E
where
ocorre
it burns.
justamente com o
They were
período da andada
usually-
do nosso caranguejo, o sá,
it's where
que
our
ocorre
caranguejo,
também a elevação de
our
tábua de
fisher
maré, porque quando a maré consegue
It's
levar
where
esse pescado até nós,
the
e
ocean can
assim
take this fish
fazendo
to us,
essa
and on this way
transição,
it can make the
mas
transition,
sofrendo as
but
consequências
suffering the
das
consequences
pescas,
of the
tanto predatória
predatory
quanto
fishing
comercial
and even the
ou
commercial
de sustento básico.
to sustain
Então, para a
basic
gente,
life.
a gente
So for
percebe
us,
também
we
que
notice
essa
that
mudança
these
nesses
changes in
cardumes, a mudança
fishes,
do ciclo
the changes of
dessas
the cycle of
espécies
these species
anteciparam e outras tardiaram.
Get
E vale
first and other
frisar,
ones
gente,
get
que a
after.
importância
And it's
dos
important
manguezais
to
para a
tell you
subsistência
the
desses
importance
peixes
of the
também
manguezais for
é de
these fishes too.
subimportância.
It's
Porque
a lot of
quando eu
importance,
falo dos
because when I
manguezais, eu
talk
falo
about
de
the
sustento
manguezais, I talk about
dessas
the
espécies,
sustain of
porque
these
eles
species
precisam dos
because they
manguezais
need
para
of
se
the
alimentar
manguezais
também.
to
Não
have
é só a
food.
sardinha que alimenta
It's
essas
not
espécies. O caranguejo é uma das peças fundamentais
the crab
para
is
a
one of the
alimentação
fundamental pieces
desses peixes
to
também dentro
fragmentations
do
of
nosso
these
rio,
fishes in our
dentro do
river
nosso
too,
estuário. Muito
inside of
obrigado.
our
Obrigada.
place.
Let's move to Paul. Paul, Nilson has already mentioned some of the challenges and the context that they are facing in the coastal area of the Amazon. Michelle brought some of the insights regarding major threats in the Latin American species. So if you could please share with us more about which factors are leading to the critical state of survival for the over 20 species that were profiled in the Amazon case study and in the report.
Gracias a los speakers. Yo he tenido el privilegio de haber acompañado a pescadores que durante 30 años han estado registrando sus capturas en formularios. Uno de los pescadores está aquí. Y estos bancos de datos a largo plazo nos han brindado muchísima información que como investigador solo nunca hubiéramos podido colectar. Y creo que es un punto importante que quiero destacar desde el inicio, que con los pescadores hemos logrado un conocimiento sobre los bagres migratorios que ha sido esencial para poner por lo menos una especie en la lista de IUCN, porque no olvidar que de todos los bagres migratorios que tenemos en la Amazonía, hasta ahora solo una especie está como vulnerable a la extinción en la lista de IUCN. Todos los otros bagres siguen como de menor preocupación en las listas. Al mismo tiempo he podido participar, gracias a la Alianza Aguas Amazónicas, en un estudio reciente sobre la migración del mismo dorado, bagre dorado, que nos ha permitido no solo conocer la situación actual, pero también buscar algunas soluciones junto con los pescadores. Entonces lo destaco otra vez que junto con los actores locales, con los pescadores, hemos logrado quizás el mayor conocimiento sobre dorado y sobre los bagres migratorios que hemos obtenido, ¿no? Entonces no solo como investigadores aislados, pero en conjunto con este conjunto de pescadores que viven en la Amazonía de los recursos y que están motivados para aportar y cooperar y colaborar con sus datos. Cuando me preguntan ahora, después de 25 años de datos, niveles más menores, a nivel de subcuenca, se juntan a estas amenazas de represas o otras amenazas, un conjunto de amenazas que en muchos casos están encadenados, ¿no? Hablamos, por ejemplo, para las cabeceras amazónicas en Bolivia, de la deforestación, hablamos de los desvíos de los ríos, a los cambios en los caudales impactados por deforestación. Y como dije, muchos de los impactos están muy encadenados. Muchas veces intentamos como científico fragmentar las amenazas en diferentes, pero es muy importante destacar que todas esas amenazas están tan encadenadas que no entendemos cómo impactan a los peces. Yo doy solo un ejemplo que he comentado con uno de los pescadores esta mañana. Mucho hablamos de cambio climático que afecta a los peces, pero la pregunta muchas veces es ¿cómo afecta? Cambios climáticos, y esto hemos aprendido en las cabeceras amazónicas de Bolivia, el cambio climático está muy conectado con la deforestación. ¿Pero cómo? Ahora entendemos mucho mejor, gracias a los datos de 20 a 30 años, que la deforestación, el desmatamiento en portugués, genera cambios hidrológicos en los pulsos de inundación y los pulsos adelantan y empiezan a coincidir con la época de frío y generan mortandad de los peces. Entonces, esto muestra que estos impactos como deforestación, cambio climático, represas, empiezan a jugar en conjunto y afectan a los peces de forma acumulativa. Es un ejemplo nomás para indicarles que la identificación de los problemas ha sido relativamente fácil en 20 años, entendemos qué está pasando, pero creo que para buscar las soluciones tenemos que juntar mucho mayor conocimientos científicos y conocimientos tradicionales de los indígenas y de los pescadores para buscar soluciones mucho más rápido
the indigenous people and the fishermen to find faster solutions because the time has given to us to identify the problems. I believe that we have to start facing the problems among the scientifics to look for good decisions to avoid these problems. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Paul. And continuing to talk about the Amazon, Mariana, I move to you. You know that this report focuses on several different categories of migratory fishes, but if you can tell us more specific, the actions needed for the migratory catfish in the Amazon basin, based on the newly action plan that was just launched.
Gracias. I will speak in Spanish. Bueno, primero que nada, muchas gracias por esta oportunidad.
Muito obrigado, primeiramente. Thanks a lot, firstly, for being here with us in this beautiful country with so many people. I am very happy for being here.
En octubre del año pasado,
in October from the last year, I came here in Brazil and I proposed that a plan of action for the regional Paraguay region should be discussed and approved in this conference, in the part of CMS. In too many expectations, I hope that it's being approved with enthusiasm. As part of this plan, scientific actions
para la conservación y
for
manejo
the
sostenible de
conservation
estas
and to
especies.
keep alive these species.
El dorado o la
The
dorada
dorado
y la
and
piramutaba o
piramutaba,
manitoa han sido las especies banderas,
they
pero el
are
plan
important species
abarca a las
for the
especies de
freshwater.
bagres migradores. Entonces, es mucho más ambicioso e integral.
So it's so much
Afuera han
ambitious
visto un resumen
and
del plan
trigger.
y
They
ahí
were
pueden
seen
verlo
as
en
the resume
detalle.
for the plans,
Este
and you're
plan
going to see in
llama a
details
5
these
grandes
plans that
acciones
is called
y ustedes van a
the 5
escuchar
big
los
actions,
títulos y les van
and
a
you're going to
sonar
listen the
de mucho
titles and you are
sentido
going
común.
to
Son cosas que
understand
oímos
why it's
repetir una y
important.
otra vez
That's
en
why
estos
these
espacios.
are things
Pero
that
hay que
are
hacerlo.
important and we listen and repeat many times,
Necesitamos
and we must
conservar
do
los
that.
hábitats
We need
críticos y la
to
conectividad
preserve
de los
the
ríos y
critical
cuencas
habitats and the
amazónicas.
connectivity about
Necesitamos
the rivers in
fortalecer
Amazon, so
y
we need
articular
to
mejor el
strengthen
conocimiento
and articulate
científico
better our
indígena
scientific
local
knowledge,
a
indigenous
través de
and local,
esfuerzos colaborativos de
across
investigación,
collaborative efforts of cooperation.
integrando el conocimiento y las buenas prácticas
And we need
de
to
pueblos
develop a
indígenas,
good practice
comunidades
about the
locales,
indigenous people
asociaciones de
and the
pescadores,
local communities and
en
the
esquemas de
fishermen
manejo
associations
adaptativo y en
in a
políticas
scheme of
públicas.
maneuvers
En la
and public
Amazonía,
politics too.
probablemente igual que
In
en muchas
Amazon
otras partes del
and
mundo,
probably
hay
many
muchas
other
muy
parts of the
buenas
world
experiencias que nos
and many
dejan
other
lecciones y
expectations
nos
that
dejan buenos
make us
modelos
feel
para
happy and
adoptar.
good models
No necesitamos
to get
inventar
adopted.
todo de cero.
Now we need to
Además, es
to
crítico
develop everything
apoyar
from
e
zero, from
impulsar
scratch.
cadenas de valor
And we need
sostenibles
to
de manejo
support
pesquero y
and
otros
to help
recursos
the other people
acuáticos,
about the fishermen
agregando,
and the other
dando valor
resources
agregado a estos
to have more
productos,
value and to have
diversificando las
more
economías locales.
diversity for the local economy.
Cuarto lugar, es muy importante
In fourth lugar,
armonizar
in
marcos
fourth place, it's very
regulatorios de
important to
políticas
have
y
a
de
harmony
mecanismos de
about
gestión
regulatory marks
entre diversos
and
sectores,
politics about
conservación,
regulation,
pesca,
regulation
infraestructura,
about the
economía, y entre
conservation
los diversos
places
países que conforman la
and
cuenca
among the
amazónica.
many countries that are
Finalmente,
making part
va a
of
ser
the
clave
Amazonic
continuar
part.
fortaleciendo
So
mecanismos de
finally, it's
cooperación
key
e
to establish
implementación
a cooperation
coordinada
way about the
entre los
implementation,
gobiernos, movilizar
about the
recursos y
coordinated
asegurar una
coordination in between the
participación
among the countries and
efectiva de la sociedad civil
to
y
have the
organizaciones
effective
indígenas y de comunidades
partnership
locales.
and
Esto
about
desde la
the local
garantía de sus
communities,
derechos y la
indigenous
defensa
local
de sus
communities too.
intereses.
And this we have
Nadie
the guarantee
solito,
about
ya lo
their
han dicho
rights.
varias veces, Nadie
and
solito,
defending
ninguém
their rights
sozinho
too.
va a poder hacer esto. Ni siquiera los
Everything is said.
gobiernos
Nobody
solos
alone
van
can
a
do
poder,
that. Even
ni los
the
científicos,
governors
ni
alone
la
can do
sociedad
that.
civil.
Neither the scientists, neither
Colaborar
the
desde distintas
civil
perspectivas
citizens.
e
To
intereses es un
collaborate
esfuerzo muy grande,
since
es muy
many
caro, puede ser
expectations
muy
is a
agotador,
big effort
pero es la
and a
única
very
forma en que vamos
expensive
a
effort
lograr
too.
avanzar.
Each can be
Ahora hay tres
very
tareas
stressful,
críticas que
but we are
quisiéramos
going to get
proponer desde la
advanced.
Alianza Aguas
So there are
Amazónicas
3 critical areas that we want
para
to
los primeros
propose
meses
among
después de
the
celebrar la
areas
aprobación del plan.
of the
Primero,
Amazonic
a nivel nacional y
So we need to
subnacional, es
in a national
importantísimo
level and
definir e
subnational, it's
implementar
important to
prioridades
define
de
and
política
implement
pública
the priority
que
of
atiendan las
the
necesidades
public
propias de los países
needs.
y las localidades y al mismo tiempo
that is
contribuyan
about
al plan de
the needs
acción de
about the local
cooperación
people,
regional.
and it's
Porque yo
going
no
to
voy a
help the
contribuir
other
a
people that
algo
are
que tampoco
near
me
there,
beneficie
because
a
I'm not
mí
going to
en el
contribute with
inmediato.
something
Tenemos que balancear
that is going
ambas
to
tensiones.
beneficiate
En
me
segundo lugar, a escala de la
small.
cuenca
In
amazónica,
second place,
desde los territorios hasta
the
cuencas
scale
grandes
of
compartidas,
Amazon,
es muy importante desarrollar programas
since the territory
innovativos de
until the
sociobioeconomías
other parts,
asociadas a la
it's
pesca y a
important
los
to develop
ecosistemas
new
acuáticos. Hay ya
new
modelos interesantes que
the
es
strategies to
necesario
develop a
escalar
new
e innovar.
economy. And we
Y
think
en
that it's
tercer
important
lugar,
and need
también a
necessary
escala de la
to
cuenca
scale and
amazónica,
innovate.
es muy
In
importante
third place,
acordar
it's important to
mecanismos de
scale the
reporte y
Amazon
gobernanza del plan
rivers
con
to help
participación
the
efectiva de
to
todos los
have
actores
the
involucrados.
information
Esto que
about
suena
the
muy
governors
ambicioso,
and everyone that
complejo y
is
difícil,
involved.
es muy posible. Ya lo
It
hemos
sounds
vivido
very
en
hard
el
and
codiseño
ambitious,
de este
but it's
plan,
very possible
donde
because we have
participaron
already lived in the
los gobiernos,
co-worker with other
representantes de los
governors
gobiernos de la cuenca
and the
amazónica, la
representatives
OTCA,
of
organizaciones
Amazonic
de sociedad
rivers,
civil,
and the organization
organizaciones de
of civil
pescadores,
organization, the
científicos
organization of
de
fishermen
varios
and
países de la
scientific
cuenca amazónica.
of many
Todo
countries of
gracias a la
Amazonic rivers.
invitación del gobierno de
Everything
Brasil,
is
Ministerio del
thanks to the
Ambiente, Ministerio
Brazilian
de Pesca y
governor and
Agricultura
the
tuvieron un liderazgo
environment
clave
ministers and
y la
the
Alianza Aguas
fishermen
Amazónicas
ministers.
apoyó facilitando este
They are
proceso.
together to
Y
develop a
como
good
para finalizar,
work.
como dije hace un
And to
momento,
finish, in
quiero
conclusion,
resaltar que
as I have said in
este
some moments, I
plan,
wanted
los
to
invito a leer
emphasize
más
that this
allá
plan,
del título del resumen
I invite
ejecutivo.
everyone
Las
to read
acciones
the
que están
title of the
debajo
resume
son
on the
producto de esta
resume,
conversación y
executive
hemos
resume,
construido sobre
and
lo
about
que
the
ya
projects
se
that we
viene
have below
avanzando.
this conversation,
Entonces,
and we have discussed
no
about
estamos
what have
construyendo
been
de cero,
advanced.
y yo
So
creo que
we
con
are
mucha
not building from scratch.
alegría cuando
And I
presentemos el
hope,
primer informe
and I
de
believe that
progreso,
with very
vamos a tener
joy,
varias cosas que mostrar
we are going to
debido a
show
ese
you
trabajo
the
ya
first
avanzado.
part of our
Gracias.
progress, and we are going to have many grateful success.
Thank you, Mariana. It's great to hear you talking about the collaborative process of building this action plan. And also, thank you for your leadership in the Amazon Alliance for so many times. Sylvia, thank you for being with us. I know that TNC is leading a new study about Amazon fish. So if you can share with us a little bit more about this work, some early takeaways, some spoiler of what you've been working on.
Muchas gracias. Yo también voy a hablar en español. Un placer estar aquí y en este escenario tan inspirador. Y quiero empezar con una frase de una escritora mexicana, Elena Garro.
Mexican writer, Elena Garro.
Cuando llega el olvido, es que se acaba la
When I am in
vida.
forgiveness, that's why we
¿Y por qué utilizo
finish the
esta
life.
frase?
And why
Porque
do I
justo eso es
use
lo que
this life?
queremos.
It's
Queremos
because it's what we
evitar
need.
este olvido que
It's
hemos
what
tenido
we need to avoid
hacia
this
los peces de agua
forgetfulness
dulce.
about
Porque
the
a nivel
fish,
global
the water,
hemos
freshwater
visto
fish
que ha sido
in a global
un grupo
level. We have
poco
seen that it was a group
reconocido,
that was
poco
a few
atendido,
recognized, that
poco
was
priorizado.
not
Entonces,
prioritized.
este reporte
So,
que estamos trabajando,
this
en
informative
donde
that we are
mi colega
working on,
Fernanda Silva
where my
está a la cabeza de este reporte,
Fernanda,
se llama
she's
Los peces olvidados de la
helping me with
Amazonía,
this report.
Forgotten
It's
Fishes
called
of the Amazon. ¿Y qué es lo que busca este reporte?
Forget fishes in Amazon. And what is the main purpose of this
y
relatory?
ponerles
It's about you
en
to
el
remember the
sitio que deben
importance
estar
and
a
to
los
put
peces
where
amazónicos.
they must be. the
Y quiero
Amazon
resaltar
fishes.
algunos
I
temas de
wanted
este
to
reporte.
emphasize to some themes
Primero,
about this informative.
que ha sido un
Firstly,
esfuerzo
I wanted to say that it
colaborativo
was
enorme.
a collaborative effort,
De hecho,
enormous
muchos de los
collaborative effort,
coautores de
and
este
in fact,
reporte
each,
están
many
sentados
of
aquí
these
hoy en esta
co-workers
sala.
are seated
Así que
here in
muchas
this
gracias
room.
por su contribución.
I want to
Más
thank
de
you for their
50
contribution,
personas han
and more than
contribuido con
50
esta
people
publicación
contributed to this,
de más de
to this
30
publish,
organizaciones.
more than 30 organizations.
El segundo tema
The
es
second
que este es un
theme
reporte que
is that
reconoce la importancia del conocimiento
recognize the
tradicional
importance of the
y del
knowledge, of
conocimiento
the
indígena
traditional knowledge,
dentro
and
del
the indigenous
manejo
knowledge too,
y conservación de
about
los
the
recursos
maneras
pesqueros.
of
Así de
preservation of the
importante
fishes.
como
So
también
it's
reconoce
important as
la ciencia
we
como una
recognize it
base
through the
para el manejo y
science
para la
and
conservación.
recognize the science as a
Y el
basis for
tercer
the
punto de este
maneras,
reporte
and
es lo que hemos hablado mucho
the
acá,
point of this
la
regulatory is what we
importancia
are
de la
always talking
colaboración
about
entre
here,
países.
the importance of the
Porque
collaboration
sabemos que en
among
la
the
cuenca
countries,
amazónica
because we know that in
la
Amazon
pesca y,
rivers,
y especialmente
the
la
fishing,
pesca de
and
peces
especially
migratorios
the migratory
mantiene a
fishes
muchas
fishing
poblaciones
keep
locales. Entonces su importancia
is kept
para
by
la
many
seguridad
local people.
alimentaria
So that's why it's
y
important
para los medios de vida
for the
es
foods
enorme.
and the way
Y
of
lo que
life.
tenemos que hacer
It's
es lo
big,
que hemos hablado
it's
acá,
enormous.
este trabajo
So what we must do
coordinado
is
y
what we have seen
colaborativo
here.
entre
This
países.
collaborative work among the countries.
Este reporte esperamos que esté listo, bueno, va a
This
estar listo
regulatory
en mayo,
is
lo
what
vamos a
we
lanzar
hope
por
it-
el Día de la
We hope it
Biodiversidad.
be done in May through the
Es un
Biodiversity
reporte
Day.
que va a estar
It's
disponible
a regulatory
en
where
español,
it's going
en
to
portugués,
be
en inglés.
available in
Sabemos que no es
Spanish,
suficiente
Portuguese,
para
and
la
in English.
diversidad
I know that is
de
not
lenguajes
enough
que
for
tenemos en la
the
cuenca.
diversity among
Sin
the
embargo,
languages that we
esperamos que
have in
esto permita
the
hacerlo
rivers.
más
So we hope that
accesible
it can
a
help us
tomadores de
make it
decisiones,
more accessible to
a
the decision
financiamiento,
makers,
que esto nos ayude a buscar
to
financiamiento
financials,
y que esto también
to
nos acerque al
have more
público general.
financial people,
¿No? Aquí tenemos a
and
todos
can
los,
keep us close
o
to
muchos
the
de los amantes de los
ge-
peces y de las
to the
especies
public.
migratorias,
And for all
pero
the
sabemos que
fish
tenemos que
lovers
llegar
and the
más allá,
migratory species,
que necesitamos
so we
llegar
must go
más allá
further.
para que los
We
peces
must go
de agua dulce
further
realmente
so as the
entren a
freshwater
estar
fishes
una
can
prioridad en la
really
agenda.
be
Entonces les invito a
can
todos
be a
a
priority in
a usar
agenda,
este
in the
reporte,
schedule.
a
So
difundir
I
este
am invite
reporte
everyone to
y
use
que
this
además este
regulatory
reporte también ayude
and
a la
also
implementación
help you
del
to implement
plan de acción de
and
bagres
connect
migratorios de la Amazonía.
the action
Muchas
plan
gracias.
of the migratory fishes in Amazonian rivers. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Silvia. And now finally, Paul, can you tell us the vision of the Ecuadorian government in terms of the migratory fish, especially the dorado? And if you can share some of the actions that Ecuador is taking to protect this species with us.
Ok, muchísimas gracias. Buenas noches con todos. Agradezco la invitación, pues con esta maravilla llena de vida acá, ¿no?
É prazer estar aqui com todos vocês.
Sí, pues desde Ecuador,
It's a pleasure being here with
pese a
all
todo lo
of
que
you.
sucede en los
Since
países,
Ecuador,
siempre nos
everything
sentimos
that happens in the
bendecidos,
other
¿no?
countries,
A más de
we
nuestra
feel
mega
very,
biodiversidad, donde
very
se
happy
incluyen
for
más de
everything.
800 especies
And talking
de
about
peces. Justamente estamos muy conscientes
we have the
de
many
todo el
species of
proceso que
fishes.
se debe
We
llevar
have
para
a
la
concern about the
conservación
process that we
de
must
los
take for the
bagres
conservation,
específicamente, ¿no?
about the bagres
Conscientes de
especially.
ellos también,
And we
pese a
needed
que
to know
contribuimos
about
tan solo con el
the
2%
contributions
de toda la cuenca
that we only
hídrica
contribute
del
with
Amazonas,
2% of the
consideramos que ahí
rivers
nacen
in
muchos de los
Amazon.
afluentes principales
We
de
consider
este
that
río,
most
¿no?
of the
Es
affluents
por eso
in
que
this river,
es importante
that's why it's important
mantener un
to
tema de
keep
colaboración
a collaboration
interinstitucional.
theme,
La toma de
institutional
decisiones siempre
collaborative
tiene que
theme
estar basada
about
en
decisions
estudios
making.
científicos
They
basados
should
en
be
ciencia,
based on scientific
que nos permitan
research.
justamente
They should be
como
about
país
scientists. It's
poder
about country
interactuar con otras
as we can interact
organizaciones
with
que se
other
encuentran
organizations
vinculadas a la
that
conservación de
are
las
connected
especies.
to the
Es
conservation of
así
the
que
species.
en el
That's
país,
how
por medio de
in
la
the country,
colaboración del
all
Instituto
over the
Nacional de
collaboration of
Biodiversidad, el
the
Instituto
Biodiversity
Sinchi,
Institution, the
TNC
CINCH,
y WCS, Se han realizado
And
varios
WWF,
estudios que han permitido
they made many
obtener datos
researches that
sumamente
helped
importantes
us
que
to
antes
get
no
many
habían
important
sido conocidos, ¿no?
back
Y
then weren't
llevarnos la sorpresa
acknowledged yet.
incluso de
So it
poder
is helping us
identificar
to
que el
have
bagre
a
dorado
surprise
estaba
to
mucho
identify
más
that the
al
bagre
norte
dorado
incluso de lo que se
was
creía
even more
inicialmente.
north, mainly
Eso
than they
justamente
were
ha
expected
permitido
before.
poder
It helped
pensar
to
en
think
avanzar mucho más con los
how to
esfuerzos y ampliar
advance
esas
even
zonas
more
de
with the
protección
effort
justamente
and to increase in many ways to
donde
protect
se
this
identifica
kind of
que
fish.
existen
About to
zonas de
identify
reproducción bastante
zones of
vulnerables, ¿no? En estas cuencas altas
reproducing
del
zones that are
Amazonas.
vulnerable in these
Así
high
también, pues,
rivers in Amazon.
estamos muy
On this way too, we are also concerned about these species, even of their degree level of vulnerability. It's a high level of importance material in the rivers and among other people too that have the consume of these species and their safe feeding security. That's why it's important to talk to about what my colleagues were talking to before, that we need to work together to find a solution for this problem, and we need to work together to develop the conservation for the long run of this species. Thanks a lot.
Gracias, Paul. We don't have a lot of time left for additional questions, but I would like to have a final question. For some of you, especially, I would like to hear from you, Zeb, and from you, Nilson, but for those who want to jump, we have some minutes. My question for you is, what is giving you hope despite the alarming statistics and numbers of this report? Why should we believe that there is a path to progress, to solutions? So what should we be aiming for as a perspective for a change?
Yeah, thank you for your question. And it's a good question. You know, for me, this report, maybe what jumps out to people, and I think when we've been talking with media, you know, what jumps out is that there are 325 species that have been identified that are in decline, that would benefit from more cooperation. And I think in some people's mind, they see that as alarming. But for me, I guess maybe because I've been working with CMS for a long time, I see energy now around freshwater fish. I see countries becoming more involved. You know, those are 325 opportunities to work together to help protect these fish. So for me, you know, some people might see alarm, but I see a way, you know, it's a beginning, it's a way forward, it's a roadmap. And so I hope we can use this list, the report, the global report, the Amazon case study, and all of the work that we produced for this COP as a path forward to improve the management and protection of freshwater fish, which is something that we haven't been doing so much up until now, and I think the future can be much, much brighter. Thank you.
Thank you, Zé. Nilson, você quer compartilhar com a gente?
Bem, gente, mais uma vez, ao meu ver,
so, in my point of view, I believe that
a gente tem que
we
somar
must
forças, né? Criar plano de ação com
work
certeza
together in developing a
viável,
work plan, and that is going to be
juntar
useful for
forças
everyone,
também
and
para as
develop
unidades
strengths
de
too
conservação,
for
porque
the
não é só
conservation
criar
units,
uma
because
unidade de
not only create
conservação
a
e
conservation
não dar o
unit, and not
subsídio
give
para
the
que ela possa
support
se conduzir,
and the
né?
financial
E assim criando o plano de
So
manejo,
we must create the management plan,
muitas vezes
and
ele dá o
sometimes it's
suporte
not
necessário
the
também
enough
para a
support,
questão
so as we
da
can
nossa fiscalização,
have the
da nossa
fiscalization,
questão
so as we
de
can have the
preservação,
preservation.
enfim, nós temos
By the way, we have
que nos
some demands that
preocupa
they
dentro
are
desse cenário, vou
concerning
esticar
us
aqui mais um pouquinho a
inside
minha
this
fala,
scenario. I'm going to
é que
extend my
preocupa
speech.
muito já
It's
tanto o nosso
worrying
Conselho
me
Deliberativo da
so much
unidade
the
quanto a
Council of
população de modo
Deliberate
geral.
and the
Nós estamos
populations
vivendo
in general.
período de
We are
safra,
living a
né? A
safra period,
a amazônica nossa lá.
the Amazonic
Então
safra.
toda
So
espécie de
every
peixe
species, every fish
a
species,
gente
it's
tem
common
dentro
for
do
us to
mercado
have
hoje em dia,
in the
né? Aquele
market
peixe de
nowadays.
menor
That
mercado
small
agregado
market fish
é a piramutaba.
is
Se eu
Puramutaba.
disser para vocês
If I tell you
que
today
varia de
that
R$ 2 a R$ 3 o
it's
quilo desse
variated
peixe hoje
from
no nosso mercado,
1,
vocês
2
vão dizer que eu
reais
estou
or
mentindo.
3 reais the
Mas
kilo,
é a pura
you are going to
verdade,
say
gente.
that
E
it's
por outro
lie, but
lado,
it's real.
tem uma espécie de
And
bagre que vem
otherwise, we have
chamando
a
muita
special
atenção, não
bagre
só
species that is
pelo seu
drawing a lot of
tamanho
attention, not only for
e
its
muito menos
size, but
pelo seu
even,
valor
but
de
not only for
mercado
the price of
do
market
peixe em si,
of fish.
e
Of
sim
the fish.
chamando a atenção
And
do
it's
mundo,
drawing our attention in the world,
principalmente da
mainly
exportação,
because of the exportation,
que é o
that
pulmão
is the
da nossa
lung
gurijuba e
of
da nossa
our
pescada amarela.
maref
Sendo
fishing.
que a gente conhece também
And
como
we know
grude,
too the
né?
grude.
E
We
tem um
know it
mercado
as
muito
grude,
elevado, gente.
and it has
né?
a
E
high market.
a
And
maior
who
parte
buys
desse
the
mercado
biggest amount
são
of
os
this market
chineses,
are the
né?
Chinese people.
Então, só para vocês terem uma
So
ideia,
as you
o
can have an
quilo
idea,
da
the
grude
kilo
da
of grude
pescada
in fishing,
amarela e o
amarela,
quilo da
and
grude da
the
gurijuba
grude in
varia
gurijuba,
entre
it
R$ 3.200
changes
e R$ 3.400 hoje
3,000
no mercado.
reais nowadays in the
Isso
market.
traz para a
3,000
gente um
reais.
leque de
And it brings
preocupação,
for us a
porque
big worries because the species is being catch not only for food, not only for feeding, not only for being sold, but to be in the high market too, for the high value of the grude. Thanks a lot.
Eu acho que o seu relato traz a importância da gente continuar atualizando esses dados científicos, essas bases de
I think that your
informação, acompanhando novas
speech is
tendências.
important for us to understand why it's important to preserve these species and why it's important to keep them alive. So we need to look for new strategies to preserve this kind of species. So do you...
Bueno, con respecto
La especie más amenazada, yo creo que el plan de acción sin duda es un hito muy importante.
é marco muito importante, nós conseguimos em conjunto e colaboração, mas eu também acredito que é muito
Rápido
importante
a
passar rápido
planes más
a
concretos,
planos
en
mais
este caso,
concretos, neste caso, plano de saúde.
porque si no actuamos rápido, esta especie
If we don't work together, the species on this manure, the species can disappear in the rivers, and the work plan is to save them is the inclusion of new actors and new academics, and we need the researchers, we need actors with the same companies that we have in this moment could make the salvation of the population of these species, especially at the same time the inclusion of the largest number of fishermen that could be a salvation too, because they together could have an agreement to not fish the species. So they take the fish and go back to the river, not eat, not sell. I believe that it's a challenge for the next 3 years to firstly save a species that is risk of endangered. It's a risk of is expected, especially in companies and fishermen, indigenous fishermen. It's important for these plans of action be a reality. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for it.
I fully agree that the diversity of stakeholders should be a part of the contributions and collaborations to establish action plans. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, so
Full translated. Creo que hemos tenido acá varios ejemplos de productos muy poderosos y resultados de impacto gracias a esfuerzos de colaboración.
Thanks for the effort of collaboration.
El siguiente paso es pasar de la ciencia.
The following step is given by the science to give information, the action, the impact, the effective impact. And for to get there, to reach that, we need to reinvest the money that we get on this, about the effort that we are having now, that is the desire of cooperating with humans and about thinking about herd wellness. So that's why we are out here. I believe that my civic economies by graduation, it's equal to the repetitive games. When there is one to interact many times, and it feels that only for their own beneficial, they are not going to find the best solution. So we must work together. So that's why I think that it's important to make this calling and to make you feel more confident, to have your confidence, and have your image, to have a bigger, ambitious future. Thanks a lot, Mariana.
This insightful discussion, please. You can stay at the table, and we'll now move into the final remarks for this evening. And it's my great honor to invite here for this final remarks is João Paulo Capobianco, Capo, the Executive Secretary of the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, and the President of this COP. Thank you, Capo, for being here with us, and we welcome your remarks.
Wow. Wow. Good night. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here with you. I'm sorry I'm late. I couldn't take the advantage to listen, all of you. I'm sorry for that. But, you know, the agenda of the COP is a little bit tough. But first of all, let me begin by sincerely thanking all the speakers, experts, and organizers who made this event possible. Your contribution, both scientific and traditional, are invaluable. They remind us that effective decision-making depends not only on data, but also on the wisdom and lived experience of local communities. The exchange of scientific evidence alongside local knowledge is essential to shaping policies that are both grounded and impactful. The Convention on Migratory Species offers Brazil an important platform to advance an integrated agenda, one that goes beyond migratory fish and embrace the broader protection of habitats, healthy ecosystems, and biodiversity conservation as a whole. In this context, it is crucial that we incorporate the livelihoods and knowledge of fishing-dependent communities into both planning and implementation. Continuous dialogue with local groups is key to ensuring that our policies are legitimated, inclusive, and truly effective. We are also encouraged by the strong alignment between the CMS agenda and the Freshwater Challenge. This convergence shows how global initiatives can reinforce national priorities, strengthening Brazil's leadership in the protection of freshwater systems. Indeed, Brazil's current terms within the CMS represents a strategic window of opportunity to consolidate and expand the freshwater agenda across the country. To do so, we must ensure visibility for this issue and strengthen institutional coordination to deliver concrete results. I would also like to extend our sincere thanks to the Biopark for hosting us and to the State Secretariat for their hospitality and partnership. Holding this event and the COP15, of course, remind us the richness and diversity of freshwater ecosystem. Like I can see here, it's amazing space. And of our shared responsibility to protect them. The Biopark stands as a powerful example of a public institution committed to education, science, and conservation, promoting knowledge, cultural appreciation, and environmental education. Brazil's environment leadership is firmly rooted in the conservation of migratory fish and the maintenance of connectivity across freshwater habitats, advancing an integrated freshwater agenda within the federal government strengthens our commitment to sustain vital ecological process. This in turn directly supports biodiversity conservation and well-being of communities that depends on healthy, connected rivers. By placing migratory fish at the center of our national strategies, Brazil reinforces the importance of cross-cutting policies that bring together conservation, water resource management, and sustainable development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Capobianco. We'll now close this event. We'll invite you all to join us in the reception in the atrium. Just a final word. I would like to acknowledge those that worked really hard to make this event happen. Michelle and the whole WWF Brazil team, especially Mariana Frias, Mariana Menezes, Cynthia, and again, thank you for the Biopark for hosting us here. Thank you.